All right, let's talk about Z. There is some serious hype building around this tool in the developer world. In a space dominated by giants like VS Code, a new contender has shown up, and it's promising to completely change how we code. It's all about three things: speed, collaboration, and AI. So let's dive in.
First, let me just ask you something, and I think every developer will know exactly what I'm talking about. Have you ever been in the zone, just totally focused, only to get yanked out of it by a stuttering cursor, or a super slow autocomplete, or, my favorite, the sound of your laptop fans just screaming for mercy? Yeah? That lag, that little bit of friction, it's a huge pain, and it's the exact problem ZED was built from the ground up to solve.
So, what's the core issue here? Why do our editors sometimes feel so sluggish? Well, most of the modern ones, including the amazing and super popular VS Code, are built on something called Electron. And what that means is, they're basically web browsers pretending to be desktop apps. And that's where you get the heavy memory usage and that UI lag we all know and, well, we know it. ZED's approach? It's completely different. It's built in Rust, so it's native. It uses a custom GPU-accelerated UI. The whole thing just flies.
And that brings us to ZED itself. Now, this is not just some random side project. This is a serious, high-performance code editor. And get this, it's built by some of the original creators of Atom and TreeSitter. We're talking about some of the sharpest folks from GitHub. They basically took everything they learned from building those tools, threw it all out, and started from scratch to build something they knew could be fundamentally better.
Their mission is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. First, make coding fast, period. Second, make collaboration feel instant, like you're all in a Google Doc. Third, build AI right into the workflow, so it's a real partner, not just some add-on. And maybe most importantly, keep the core editor open source for everybody. I love this slide because it just perfectly captures ZED's ambition. Seriously, just take a second and imagine this. You take the massive feature set of VS Code, the effortless real-time teamwork you get from Google Docs and Figma, and the super deep AI integration from an editor like Cursor, and then you roll it all into one native, ridiculously fast application. I mean, that's the dream, right? That's the vision for ZED.
Okay, let's break that vision down, piece by piece, starting with the first pillar: pure, unadulterated speed. This is where that decision to build in Rust and go completely native really pays off.
120 frames per second. Just let that sink in. That is the goal, and that is what they deliver. And we're not talking about some fancy animation. This is for the entire editor experience. You're typing, you're scrolling, navigating through files. It's a level of smoothness you usually only find in high-end video games.
So what does 120 FPS actually feel like when you're coding? It means scrolling through a massive file is just completely fluid, no stutter. It means your keystrokes appear on the screen the very instant you press them. It means autocomplete pops up with absolutely zero delay. And it means you can open up gigantic repositories without your entire machine grinding to a halt. Honestly, it just feels like a breath of fresh air.
All right, let's move on to the second pillar, AI. And look, ZED isn't just slapping a chatbot into a side panel and calling it a day. No. It's fundamentally weaving AI into the very fabric of the editing experience. The goal is to turn it into a smart pair programmer that works right there with you. The core idea here is something they're calling agentic editing. So instead of just asking the AI questions, you give it tasks. You actually tell it, hey, refactor this function or add logging to this entire block. The AI then acts as your agent. It performs the edits right in your code and then shows you the changes as a diff. And here's the key takeaway. You are always in control.
And this just shows how simple and clean the workflow is. It's brilliant. Step 1. You say something like, write tests for this file. Step 2, the AI gets to work and actually edits the code. And then, step 3, you review. You see exactly what changed, and you can accept it, reject it, or even ask for a modification. Your creative flow is never broken.
Another really smart move is that ZED gives you options. It has its own fine-tuned, open-source model called Zeta, but it also plugs right into the big ones, like Claude and Gemini. And this is huge. For anyone who's worried about privacy or needs to work offline, it supports local large language models through Ollama. That kind of flexibility is a massive win.
Okay, now we're at what might be ZED's most revolutionary feature, our third pillar, collaboration. If you've ever tried to use live sharing in other editors, you know it can be, well, kind of glitchy and slow. ZED reimagined it from the very beginning as a core, native feature.
It's not an afterthought.
Yeah, we saw this one before, and it is worth repeating because there is honestly no better way to describe it. The entire experience is designed to feel just as seamless and instant as when you're collaborating with your team in Google Docs or designing something together in Figma. It's that smooth. It just works.
So what does true real-time collaboration even mean? Well, it means multiple people can be in the same file, editing with their own cursors, and you see the changes happen instantly. Zero lag. It has built-in voice chats, so you don't need to jump on a separate call. And get this, everyone sees the same open tabs and the same diagnostic errors. It's absolutely perfect for remote pair programming.
Okay, so ZED sounds pretty incredible, right? But the big question is it actually ready to be your daily driver? Let's get into the final part here, the practical stuff you really need to know before you decide to give it a shot.
Let's just quickly break this down. Platform support? It's solid. It's fully out on Mac OS and Linux, and Windows is currently in beta, coming very soon. What about the price? The core editor is 100% free and open source. So what's the catch? Well, it's actually pretty reasonable. The more advanced cloud-based AI features have some usage limits on the free plan, but that's it.
And ZED isn't just about those three big pillars we talked about. It really wants to be an all-in-one tool. It's got a built-in debugger for most of the major languages. It's got native Git support, so you can do all your staging and committing right inside the editor. And it has robust support for remote development. It really is aiming to replace a bunch of other apps you might be using.
So what is ZED when you put it all together? Let's do a quick recap. Think of it as this incredible combination. It's built to be fast, with that raw native speed of something like Sublime Text.
But at the same time, it has the modern, comprehensive, everything you need feature set of VS Code.
It integrates AI deeply into the actual workflow, taking inspiration from dedicated AI editors like Cursor.
And it has that seamless, real-time collaboration that honestly just feels like you're working in Google Docs.
And, to top it all off, the core of it is free and open source, embracing that whole community philosophy of projects like Linux. It is a seriously powerful mix.
You know, ZED feels like a signal that the next generation of developer tools is finally here. Tools that are just faster, more intelligent, and way more collaborative by their very design. So that leaves us with one final question. A question for you to think about. When you look at your current workflow, is it time to switch?